I was arguing with an atheist a couple years ago in Vegas, and I love arguing with. I love getting into debates with atheists because it's a chance for me to kind of pick their brain and guide them. A chance for me to guide them back to the light. And he was getting all Scooby Doobified with me and trying to convince me how there was no God and how he was trying to prove to me that that there's not a God. And he started off telling me that he used to be very religious. He was a very devout Christian, and he used to always go to church and pray and all these things. And God still took away, his best friend. He died, and I think his cousin or one of his relatives also died of sickness. And he said eventually he just gave up belief, and to him that was enough proof that there was no God. And I told him that him being a devout Christian, even though that's not my belief, but I do study all the religions. Even with my brief study, I knew enough to tell him that if he was a devout enough Christian, then he should have known that the closer you get to God, the more He's going to test you, and that things like loss of loved ones, loss of health, and things of this nature are a test of God to see if you're patient and to see if you are still close to Him. And in other words, he failed that test, and that is not proof that there is no God. That is proof that he was not patient, and that in a way, he was weak-minded, and maybe he wasn't as close to him as he thought he was, and it led him to go astray and believe there was no God. And remember, if you don't have God to guide you in your life, then by default, you're an easy target for the devil. And then the devil can infiltrate your mind much easier and convince you to live for evil things, such as money or sex or drugs, or in essence, um, to convince you to worship yourself. Then you start to think that you have all the power. Oh, no.